Well, good morning. It is the 14th of January 2020. I didn't bore you with the entire ride from the shop to this area. This here is Manayunk, Pennsylvania. It is part of Philadelphia County, and it is about an hour and 20 minutes from the shop. It's not close to anything, and it's a royal pain in the butt to get to. Have a customer down here that's used me 5 or 6 times now. They have rental properties that they're purchasing, and they've been using my services for various different jobs. Today's job, well, I got a bunch of them to do, but I'm gonna try to highlight the job of replacing a basement window. The basement has a metal or steel framed window in it now, and we need to change it out to a vinyl, remove the slider, and put some plywood in there so that we can vent a dryer out through it. So we're on the job site now. I'm going to back into the driveway, and fortunately there is a driveway because, as you can see from these streets, there's not a whole lot of parking. So let's get into this right after this. We're here in Philadelphia, and this is where the window has to go. Up in here. Somebody thought it was a good idea to cut a cat door or something in here, but this whole window not in good shape. I'm going to take this time to introduce you to Oscar. Oscar is a whimsical little imaginary creature from the rocky coast of Maine. He's a mammal that lives out in the deep woods. The type of mammal he is a Hyoscomachus, and throughout the video and future videos he'll be asking the tough questions or questions to help point out facts and lessons that you should learn. So listen to Oscar. He's got a lot of good things to say.
Well, I appreciate you letting me be. He bopped himself on the head. I really appreciate you letting me be here, and I'm going to be a good sport and a big help, and I'm going to ask the really tough questions. Thanks for watching. So, Mr. Bob, what holds that window in place? Is it cemented in?
No, actually, when they build the home, the concrete blocks on both sides of the window are specialty blocks made for a window opening. And there's little grooves in them that the window slides down into, and they do that before they build the walls above it. This way it's locked into place. So the only way to get these out is to break the metal and probably break this glass.
Mr. Bob, what holds the glass into that frame? What's that stuff you're chiseling out of there?
That's a great question, Oscar. This is regular window glazing. If this was a wooden door, you'd have little points that you stick in around the frame that drive into the wood to hold the glass in, and you'd cover it with this putty-like material called window glazing. Well, where this is a steel frame, you don't have those metal points, but they usually have some built into the frame that you can fold down over the glass. And then you put the putty over it to keep it in place, and the putty hardens up in a short amount of time. I couldn't get the glazing out of the top without shattering the glass anyway, and I figured I'd better off just twisting the window and letting the glass break. It still startles me. Take a look. But I'm protected with my gloves and my eyewear.
Would it be okay if I played some music on the MP3 player?
Yeah, sure. How about In Your Head by Rival and Cadian? I think it's a German band. Tell me what you think. Have a listen. If you enjoyed this music, there's a link in the description.
Oh, I see the groove in the other side that you're talking about there. Huh. That makes sense. Boy, you really gotta bang that out of there, don't you?
By the looks of the cement around this bottom rail, I would say that they probably, when they put this window in, either put it into wet cement or they added this wet cement afterwards. It doesn't take much to get it out. You just got to keep going. It's actually not that difficult at all. Just a hammer and a crowbar is all I use, you see.
So it comes really as no surprise to me. Look, I've been to so many houses and I've seen people cut corners in every shape and fashion. The right side here, you see there's no groove for the window frame like I told you there was. The left side has the groove for the window frame. It just means when they built this, they must have ran out of the correct block and they moved forward anyway.
All right, so what we have to do for this customer is she wants her dryer vent vented out through the new window. So we need to take it apart. You just push these spring clips, you just push them up in there to put it in or take it out. Not going to need that because that window, this window only moves on one side. This is the slider. Here. This one does not move. It looks like it does, but it doesn't move. So this window here has to come out. And you do that the same way. Push it up, and take it out. Now this window is critical because we are going to use this as a way to measure the piece of plywood, two pieces of plywood that we need to put together. This here is 1.5 inches, 3/4 inch plywood doubled up is 1.5 inches. So we're going to double up 2 pieces of 3/4 inch plywood, and we're going to make a replacement for the glass. And I'll show you how we're going to do that right after this. Hi, and welcome back. So what we're going to do is we're going to sit this window on a piece of plywood, and I'm going to leave a little bit of a reveal for the plywood here. In other words, the window sticks out beyond the plywood a tiny bit. Just ever so slightly, 1/16 of an inch. And that is only because I don't want to fight with the window trying to put it back in. It can be a tiny bit smaller, but it can't be any larger. And once you have that equal all the way around, trace it out. That's our replacement piece, but we need 2 of them.
If you enjoyed that song that was playing in the background, go ahead and check it out. All the information's down in the description area.
Once you have that cut, you want to test fit it in here and see. If it sits in here, it's nice and secure, fits the lip of both, and it will cover where that other window was. Always take your cut end and put it into that channel so nobody will ever see the cut end, and everything's always nice and smooth. Make another one of these.
If you're going to do this in your own home, before you assemble the two pieces of plywood into the window frame, throw a couple coats of paint on it. This client wanted to save my time and have me doing other jobs. She didn't want me painting. So she figured she could handle that herself, and she was going to paint it afterwards. So I did caulk everything for her, and she put a coat of paint on, or a couple coats of paint on, after I left.
Now test fit both pieces. Alright, so that's what it looks like. Nice and solid. This way it's protected from the elements, and it's all wood that's in there. Now I'll show you what we do next.
Okay, this here's the old hood that was through the steel frame window, and it needs to be replaced. Obviously, it's not in very good shape. Because Manayunk is such a far ride for me, when my client told me she had a replacement here, I didn't bother picking one up. But what she had was an inline draft preventer, which is not something you use to vent it to the outside. So we're going to use that at the end to temporarily hook it up, and her father's going to come and just change it out with a new hood. She won't pass inspection without the hood, so they'll do that.
So the dryer vent requires a 4-inch hole to fit the exhaust through. This here is 4 3/16 of an inch. I think they call it a 4 1/4 inch bit, but it's 4 3/16. And all you do is screw this in, and it has these two little tabs that you can pull down. So you screw it in and pull it down until you get it nice and tight. And once you get this nice and tight to it, as you turn it, it'll fall into those two holes in there and hold it securely so it doesn't come loose on you. The way you measure these, in case you don't know, is you measure outside to outside, because that's where your hole's going to be. And this is outside to outside. In the middle is 4 3/16 of an inch. So then we're going to measure the window here, and we're going to center the hole. So the visible opening of the wood is 13 inches. So half of 13 is 6.5. And then we're not going to center it in the dead center of this window. We're going to want to come down from the top. I want it as close to the top as I can, so when snow builds up or anything near the bottom, it doesn't clog this. So we're just going to kind of center this and look back here, make sure we have enough wood room for this. And when we do, we figure it out. That's where we want it. Just push on it so you make a little dent in the wood where you want to put your drill bit. Yep, right there. Let's put this on our mark and start drilling. One dead. All right, so after you drill through the one side of it, where you get the first piece of plywood to fall out, your drill bit should have reached the other side by now, so that you can see where the hole is, and created by this drill bit. Now you want to do is flip the window over and drill from this side into that same hole. Otherwise, you risk getting the wood all destroyed on this side here from tear out. So to prevent tear out, you turn it over and drill towards the pre-existing hole. Now these are 1-inch panhead screws, and we're going to use them through the vinyl into our plywood. Alright, so with that done, and all those screws in place, we can install the window, and the dryer will come out right through here, and the hood will be at the top of the window. There's about 1/2-inch gap at the top to allow for the dryer hood to maybe fit underneath of this little lip that's here and let the rain run off of it.
For the record, I measured this myself 2 weeks prior, so I knew what the measurement had to be. You got to be very careful when you measure these. It's better to be 1/2 inch narrower and 1/2 inch height-wise than it is to be right on the money.
We'll mark out, we'll shim, and then we'll mark out where the holes go. Alright, so in order for this to be level, this right side needs to come up just a hair. That's right on the money. I don't know if the camera shows that, but that bubble is right on the money. And then you want to check it this way, and that's right on the money. So that means we can drill our first hole. Now, what you do is you use a hammer drill, and I'm sorry if this shakes the camera, the cord might be hitting the tripod. There's pre-drilled holes in the window. Now this one, because this doesn't operate, we have to access from the outside. But there's pre-drilled holes in the side of the window in here. Just drill through that right into your concrete with a bit the same size as your anchor.
Mr. Bob, what's your opinion on those battery-operated hammer drills? I know, like, all the major brands have battery-operated ones that don't require you to plug them in. Do they work good, Mr. Bob?
That is a really good question, Oscar. So for all you people out there in YouTube land, I've owned 3 different brands of battery-operated hammer drills. None of them really stood the test of time. They don't drill very deep or very long. So if you have to drill like 3 or 4 holes, you really should go with a corded one. I bought this one that I'm using now, this DeWalt corded one, out of sheer necessity. I was on a job putting a railing in outside, and I needed to drill 4 holes into concrete. And it was a concrete sidewalk, so it's been there for a long time and very dense, and I smoked my drill and 2 batteries trying to do it. Great question. Alright, so you'll see I have these 2 holes drilled, and I'm sticking these anchors into the holes. All they are plastic concrete anchors, and the screws came with them. You can pick them up at your big box store in the same aisle where all the screws and nails are. These are 2.5-inch screws. And I like these over the blue Tapcon screws because by putting an anchor in there, you actually give your screw something to bite into other than just the concrete. You're actually drilling a hole and then filling part of that hole with plastic. So when you put the screw in, you're actually forcing that plastic into the concrete and really jamming it in there. And I think it works a lot better. Just my opinion.
At least get these out of our way so we can put the screws in from the outside that we have to. Alright, now I put this back in. And we gotta put our shim back in.
Alright, now it just comes to fiddling around with the window trying to get those two holes lined up again. Just takes a few minutes to do this. I sped it up so I wouldn't bore the hell out of you. Once they're in there, I'll tighten them down, and then we'll go outside and we'll put the other two on the other side, because you can't reach them from the inside because this side of the window doesn't have a slider. It's a fixed piece.
Yep. Top's gotta come a little bit. Alright, so this time we're going to use the blue Tapcon screws because I'd have to take the window out to line up the other ones. And we're going to just drill right through the pre-drilled holes in the window.
See, I told you they had a purpose. You're obviously not going to take the whole window out again to put two more anchors in, so the Tapcons will work great on that side.
Alright, so you got this expansion piece at the top that moves. You want to fill the top end of this with silicone. Nice bead right across the whole top of it. Like so. And then you want to take this and push it up into that bead of silicone. You're going to do the same thing from outside, so I'm going to run around and do that. You stay here. Alright, so from the outside, I do the same thing. I'm going to push that up. Alright, so then after you get everything taken care of there, then you want to fill the inside with silicone and make sure all the seams are taken care of.
So the window's all in, everything's silicone, it's all secure, it's screwed in. Now it's time to connect the dryer vent. Now I told you in the beginning, I don't know if you missed that part of the video or not, but she was supposed to purchase an exterior hood that goes on the dryer vent, and she did not. She bought a baffle on the for the inside of the line instead. So I'm connecting it temporarily just so the dryer works. And before she rents this place out, I told her in order to pass inspection, she's going to need the exterior hood. She said her father had no problem changing it out. He ran the previous vent through the old dilapidated window. He'll run this one. His problem was he didn't know how to put the window in. So we got the new window in. We got everything cut. We've got the dryer vent hooked up. It's going to function. It just won't pass inspection until the hood's on. That will be taken care of. Now, it's important that you also understand that this video was made after the inspection and she passed with flying colors because the hood was added. So we're good.
I left this wood unpainted intentionally because the client stated that she wanted to paint it herself. I always do what the client wants.
So I just used, very loosely, 3 zip ties together to kind of hold that from hanging. That's what the window looks like. It's all installed. It's got the wood in place of the glass, and the dryer is venting to the exterior of the house.